We started Bidstitch over 3 years ago. Since then, our goal has been to shine a light on the world of vintage clothing and those who collect it. We've taken you to the Texas-Mexico border, Tokyo, the American Midwest, and now for our most important project to date, we take you picking through the abandoned homes of the Appalachians. What our team did was not safe, and this should serve as a warning that picking for vintage and abandoned homes will result in the potential for fines, injury, arrest, or even worse. We've also decided to blur the faces of our guides to protect them from any liability. All this documentary is meant to show is the reality of a previously unseen part of the vintage world. We thank you for joining our small team of vintage enthusiasts at Bidstitch, and we can guarantee you that this is only the beginning of new and great content we have in store.
A bando is like an abandoned home that for the most part has been sitting there for who knows how long, that nobody's touched in forever. Maybe it's even gutted and there's nothing inside, or maybe there's shit sitting there that's been sitting there for the past 50, 60, 70, 80 plus years. But it's definitely a spot that nobody will be coming back to anytime soon or ever. We make sure that is the case before we even go inside. A lot of the clothing that we find, a lot of the houses that we find, it's gonna sit there for another million years, 100 years, 200 years, doesn't really matter. Been sitting there for 100 years, gonna sit there for 100 more. This shit was literally just dropped here and left there forever until right now when we're seeing it in our hands. It's really cool to find a pair of Levi's where they should be, or like sometimes I picture in my head, I'm like, did this person maybe 1944 have this jacket, put it on this nail, and it was the last time they ever put it on that nail, and they had no clue. They had no clue it would be the last time they would put on that nail, and we're the first people to touch it ever since then. And it's such 60, 70 years, such a crazy feeling. Like every single item in the house kind of tells a story, you know? It's like we're digging up treasure. Whether it's an expensive piece or not, it's just maybe the placement of something, like an item on a bed, or we found pants inside of a baby crib. It's hard to imagine how stuff like that ended up where they were and why. Cause yeah, it's just it's crazy, and I think about it all the time. It really is a crazy enigma. It's cool going out there in the world and just exploring, and there's really no other feeling like it, you know? I feel doing what we do, it's just this rush that's just kind of unmatchable, that's just so fun. Yeah, it's 100% an adrenaline rush. When we get into the houses of we're 100, this is great, this is drugs for us. So I got into selling vintage a little before COVID happened, probably 6 months before. I got out of the Marine Corps in 2019, worked a couple of different jobs, didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I never would have thought in a million years I would be doing this and finding sweatshirts from the 1930s, still there. A lot of this stuff has theoretically been left there for trash. So in normal people's eyes, these clothes laying on a dirty floor with rat poop and everything like that on them, is trash, but we know that there's value there, and we're just there to bring the stuff back from trash. And people travel to the United States like every month for Rose Bowl to come and buy our stuff. I pick old houses for old clothes. I sell to a lot of like designers who like maybe have their own brands or just like want to make stuff very similar to the stuff that we find and use the design, use the material, use the prints. So those kind of people pay well for the maybe like in very niche things that you don't see much often. I also sell to a lot of Japanese guys in Japan. They pay pretty well for certain things, but a lot of the time I feel like they like the stuff that's in great condition, which isn't normally the case when you are looking through these houses. A lot of this stuff has been sitting for so long that maybe rats have gotten to it, or maybe the sun has gotten to it, or there's so many other different factors that could cause such wreckage on these clothes. It's such a good feeling when you can find such cool shit and then get it to the right people. And you're kind of just like saving everything, and it's just like this shit that would be fucking gone if you left it there for another 100 years. We met through like Instagram. We would buy shit off each other for a little bit, and then I think it was like a couple months like later, like after that, came out for Rose Bowl, and I like stayed with him for like a week. We just like kicked it every day, and kind of just went from there. I'm like originally from the East Coast, so he came out when I was still living there and hit houses, and we're like, damn, like we could really do something with this, and kind of went from there. We both work really well together, and it works out. We both have our own attributes that work towards the goal that we're trying to get, and it just works out very well in the long run. Yeah, I feel like we've worked together so long that I pretty much already know what he's gonna do before he does it, and vice versa. Like, we pretty much have each jobs like in the house, like we do the same thing every time, and it's just like doesn't create friction for like mess ups. I mean, I feel like I'm always the one that's more inclined to go into the houses, even the sketchiest ones. I feel like that's good though, because then I'm forced to go into the house, and most of the times, like 90% of the times that's happened, like we found the most crazy shit that we've ever found. So it's always just taking a chance. I got a couple years on him too, so I think I have a little more like life experience and things like that, and like stuff I've been through with the military and everything. So I'm a little more inclined to take or not take risks that I don't feel like I need to put myself into. But he's my best friend, so I'm gonna fucking do it if he doesn't. Well, we do like to go around and talk to a lot of the older people in town who've been living there for their entire lives, and they've seen the town, seen these houses come and go, seen these people come and go, and they kind of have an idea of the layout of the area.
Yeah, I think you're going to find that everywhere, but yeah, I know of a few abandoned homes, but where people have just moved on, and keeping a house together does take a lot of work. It takes somebody living in it to keep it going. There's a lot to be said for hanging on to the history here, whether it's just the stories that we pass down, but also the artifacts, the items in our history. So I'm a little bit leery of going onto property that I don't own, and even if it looks abandoned, somebody still owns it. So there's laws against breaking and entering, and and I don't know, it like what you're describing, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but it does kind of sound like breaking the law. If you're talking about going somewhere where you haven't been invited, taking things that are belong to somebody else, even if they have been left there. But hey, I'm not a lawyer.
I listened to that thing. Hold the sword. Pop. You see that? Come on. 3, 2, 1, go! test. Look. What the fuck? So, look at this. Fucking really good colors. It's fucked up. I'm just pretty. Dead stuff. Dude, all the empty hangers in here. Usually what we like to do is like, we'll wait for like Rose Bowl or like Rendezvous or something like that, and then like bring our shit out from like the last trip. Like the last one we did at Rose Bowl, dude, we had like big like army bags of like all our shit that we were gonna sell, and like we couldn't even get them up on racks. Like people were just going through it and everything. It's like, oh, there's no fucking pile. This is a really nice place. This is a really nice house. These people will probably pretty well off.
Well, let's just put it this way. When Star Wars came out, it took 7 years for it to get here. So we're kind of like behind the curve a lot of times because everybody wants it to be a little town, a small town, but now everything's just kind of starting to build up. It used to be real slow and easy going, you know, country folk and stuff like that, but there are a lot of houses around here that's been abandoned for decades. Whether it was a small farm that didn't make it, whether there was a death in the family or maybe a financial dispute, I don't know exactly. But as far as taking things from those houses and trying to get an idea of what time period maybe those houses were or why, you know, trying to get an answer, I don't know about that. I think that a lot of that is due to just not being able to make a living. You will see, if you go on some of the back roads, I mean, some of the tar and chip, real narrow roads, you'll see some of these houses, and you'll see the porches caving in. You know, and sometimes you kind of second thought about stepping up on the steps and might break a leg falling through some of these porches. Have you ever seen that show Hoarders? Okay. That is a little bit going too far. It has like a mental disorder or something like that. But still, people want to hang on to that because it reminds them of what things used to be, how slow things used to be, how neighborly everybody used to be, how much more respect the government gave them, how much cheaper living was. Somebody coming in and taking a look at some of my stuff and maybe selling it. Well, number one, I'll be dancing with Jesus, so I won't really care what they do. Number two, I think that would be an interesting thought, that somebody would actually think of me or any part of me that's actually worth saving. You know, everything in this world will perish, including everything. I mean, everything. But I think that's interesting if somebody would take an interest in maybe my little minuscule life, you know, and say, hey, this is pretty interesting. Look what this guy did, or look what he built, or whatever. You know, yeah, that would be pretty neat. I mean, it wouldn't bother me. I think it'd be kind of, I don't know, somewhat of a positive thing. Somebody took some of my stuff when I was going and just decided, hey, I like this, I'm going to sell it for money. I'd be like, go for it, buddy, if you think that's worth anything.
Dude, what is that? No. Bro, I'm taking this. I'm gonna get this. We gotta get this home somehow.
That's nuts.
Bro, this is an actual Japanese flag. This isn't painted. This is an actual Japanese flag.
1951, 1952.
This is Korea. To my mother, Corporal Mount Fuji. This was like post-war, like so 51, 52. So like we were still over in Japan, but like obviously we have already nuked them and everything. This is like all the places he was in Korea and Japan. Are you ready for the picture? Condone, Fiji, going up my shirt.
Your shirt, my shirt.
You ain't got no shirt.
My muzzle.
I mean, family, history, sentimental things. I mean, obviously history, I think, was more important 50 or 60 years ago than it is now. You know, kids aren't as close to their parents anymore with the, you know, TikToks and all the newer stuff. But, you know, the older stuff, there's definitely farmland and, You know, some of those people want twice as much as what it's worth, but there's definitely a lot of that around here. So, you know, Pickers is probably always going to be popular just because of that. You know, some of those houses and things, I mean, it could have been just people passed away, or just people decided they wanted to leave the area and they couldn't take anything with them. You know, obviously, if there was any military items or any type of family oriented things that, you know, you could easily find a family member to give those to, I would think that, you know, makes sense than just trying to sell it, you know, or just throwing it away. But you know, abandoned stuff, I mean, however many days it is, and after that it's, you know, whoever, I guess, pays for it, you know, it becomes their property. I mean, if it is somebody's property, I think there should be outlined definitely, you know, whether it's signs, you know, if it's gated off or how, you know, chained off, however it would be done, that everyone needs to know that, you know, it is private property or personal property, however you want to have it worded. But if it's not, I mean, people have to do their part too. I believe everybody plays a part, and some people want freebies and this and that, but I think for the most part, if everything's done by the book, then, you know, that's the way it should be done.
My dad was born and raised here, I was born and raised here, and he's 62 right now, and then his parents were born and raised here, and then so forth. So we have generations, and I'm related to half the town, I think. I'm the youngest grandchild at 32, and there is, I think, 75 in the immediate family right now. My dad was born around the same time as his oldest brother had his first kid. So it's a whole different atmosphere, because you live in the farmland and you just kept having kids, so because they helped till the farm and all that other stuff. And so him being the baby 11, it's just a different, I grew up old school. We're gonna miss a generation that thinks online work is the only work there. There's work everywhere and everything. Like, there's nothing wrong with doing an honest day of work. Of, if you enjoy it, go do it. Go do what makes you happy. Listen, if they're in their mind, they're right by it, that's on them. I'm not with them. It's not my life being affected by it. So it's kind of hard to be like, oh, I mean, it's not, but it's not my place to say either way. I'm not the one making the money off of it. I'm not the one losing the items. If the family was interested, they would have taken it, but I don't know. It's hard to say yes or no, because I can see where it helps make history happen, you know, bring history back, but it's also taking away from a family that lost something. Like, if it's sitting there for hundreds of years, no family member has been claimed for it, it is giving it new life. At the same time, it just feels wrong. You don't know if it's owned by the family and they're just not there, but if the bank probably owns it. So it's kind of like trespassing, but at the same time, but is their family still around? So like, you're in this very much catch-22.
Look at this. No way. Look. This is like an actual picture. Look. There's a skull right there.
I've been selling vintage for about 4 years now. Yeah, I've always loved Americana and admired it from afar, from a safe distance, but it was never something that I thought that I would collect and put back into the universe. Honestly, that's, you know, more than half of this stuff has been recovered from abandoned properties. It's just what it is. Where you define that line as far as what's trespassing, what's morally acceptable and what's not, that's a case by case. I'm not gonna touch it. Me personally, there's no better feeling than getting permission to go on a property and you don't have the anxiety or stress or problematic situation that could be lurking around any corner. That's a problem. You know you're doing something wrong. If your intuition, I guess that's it. Always just trust that. If it feels okay, it's probably okay. If there's signs saying no trespassing, please keep out, you're on camera, and you're going like, fuck, maybe I shouldn't be here, think about it, you know? Imagine, you know, your grandma hasn't lived in that house for 100 years, but you see some kids throwing shit out of a window. Even if you don't care about the garments that are in there, the principle that you're taking things that do not belong to you, that's, you know,
It's
You know,
super
and I've
funny.
had this conversation so many times, and with people that sit on all parts of the fence, you know, like put yourself on the opposite end of it and see how you would react, you
Yeah.
know? And honestly, like this divide, this weird political energy and everything that you feel that's creating this divide, it's a really dangerous time to be going into areas where there's literally country songs coming out right now that are like, not my neighborhood, you know, like we take care of our own, like kind of shit, where it's like its anthem is like, fuck you, come to our hood and see what happens. It's like, you know, that takes balls or just no brain to like think that you're not seen, you know what I'm saying? Like I think a lot of kids like, no one's around, it's cool. It's like, dude, if you came in on a dirt road, someone knows you're there. You know what I'm saying? Like, just, I don't know.
You know, I think out here it's tough because, like, for the most part, the house is on the same property as the people that live there now. You know what I mean? It's like grandma's house out front, and they got a trailer out back. So it's more of a permission thing, but most of them just think you're a weirdo, like you want their clothes and shit. You know, so it's tough. You're dealing with some, I hate to say that what you hear about is true, because it's not, but at the same time, there's those type of people, you know, what I say, like the stigma or whatever of those type of people, they do exist, you know what I mean? And shit does happen. Like a couple years ago, a guy got killed out in probably 20 minutes from here over like a weird property dispute. Like dude was just cutting down trees on somebody else's property. So I can't imagine you're like in their grandma's house taking their shit. At the end of the day, I know we like, you know, we love to find these clothes and all that, and it seems like it's like our life, but I think like, you know, some bad shit will eventually happen. If it hasn't already, I've heard so many stories, but as the bando picker, you're out here risking your life. You're driving around trying to find these places. You're risking your life just to sell to a guy quick so then he can flip it in California or whatever and get all this money for it when, yeah, maybe you got fucking shot. Like out west, I mean, I get it. You've got like, you know, towns of abandoned shit. It ain't like that out here. You know what I mean? Like, it's all like you're down in the valley and everybody lives right up against each other. So, you know, if it's not the owner that sees you, it's the neighbor that thinks they're protecting or whatever. And I mean, you know, like you've heard the haulers. Those people, you know, they don't think you're taking the clothes, or they think you're stripping the copper, they think you're doing whatever. But that's why I think, like, yeah, the permission thing needs to be more commonplace, you know. Well, I think you got to live your life. I do. Because, like, I'm not the one that's going to tell you not to do it. You know what I mean? Because, like I said, if I was young, man, like I said, I was wild. I would have been doing the same shit. I'd be on the same wave. You got to try to keep up with the trends, and I've always been right there. But until, you know, I guess right now.
We get into these places and we just see stuff and our eyes glow and light up and we're like, oh my god, and we just go straight to picking and we don't even think about protecting ourselves. But we need to really start thinking about this stuff like long term, because we can really get sick from like a lot of the stuff that's in the house, like feces, mold, falling through the floors. Like a lot of the foundations in these houses, like they've been sitting for 50, 60 years. Some of the roofs are caved in, so they have a lot of water damage. So you kind of have to be super careful when walking across these floors, because we've almost fallen through, like put our foot through at least, but never like fully fallen through, thank God. Fingers crossed. But anything could like come into legal action if somehow like the owner was there or somehow the police got called. What we're doing scary, like we're doing like dangerous shit, and like I feel like it wouldn't be normal if you weren't scared. Like at the end of the day, like we are risking a lot of stuff, like health, freedom, anything. Like we're just risking it all. So this stuff can like really go bad and like really quick.
Yeah, I mean, I don't condone any of the things that me or my buddies do, but I feel like people who just want to jump into this all fast and they don't really have the skill set for it, or they just like don't really know what goes into it to just make sure the operation goes correctly. I don't condone those kind of people that just like try and, you know, just go out there and just hit every house that they can find, or just like not really like be cautious about what they're doing. it's just not going to work out. It's going to end very badly. That's why I don't really condone it, and I don't really want to. I mean, if you know what you're doing, do it, but if it goes before anything. You know, if you don't know what you're doing, then don't do it. I feel like every time I go out on the road now, I feel like the more I go out, the less concerned I get about, you know, getting into any bad position. I'm like more at ease, and I feel like after the years, I've been able to, you know, decrease the paranoia that I have when I go out onto the road, and I kind of just like throw all the thoughts of the what ifs, ands, and buts that I have in my head, throw them all out the window, and kind of just like, you know, be more willing to just go for it. Just take a little bit more risk because, you know, you never know what you'll find. And a lot of the times where, you know, sometimes something's a little bit more risky, it's when you happen to find the craziest shit, you know? So when that stuff like that happens, you know, you're like, oh, so maybe if I do take risks, then maybe it'll work out. It's a fucking bat. Are you fucking kidding me? You're fucking kidding me. Bruh. Bro. Wow. Two-tone. This is the best thing we got today. Yeah, 30s for sure. What else is in here? Come down here. Look at the condition of this thing. There's not a single hole on it. I know. Fucking perfect. It's a sweatshirt cardigan, but it's like two-tone. And it's got like crazy pockets with like, this is all cotton, you don't find this stuff ever. Maybe like a sweatshirt cardigan, like a salt pepper one you find, but like something like this with like the two-tone, it's like kind of like zigzaggy, kind of like wavy design is just really cool. And the fact that this is also cotton is really cool. Yeah. Really awesome sweatshirt. Like I have one, like this style, but this is something I have seen before. I think if like I were to like see something like bad happen to like my buddy in the house, or like something really bad happen to me, where like really opened our eyes, like that would like kind of like shut down our operation. I would love to keep it up as long as I can. I mean, we're both like pretty young. I mean, we both are in relationships, but other than that, like we don't really have like that great of responsibilities. So like we're just being young right now, going out and finding shit while we can. But like nothing lasts forever. Like things constantly change, life situations. You never know what like life's gonna throw at you. Like, you know, having a kid, and like you can't really risk your freedom for your family. Like that's the most important thing at the end of the day. I would love to keep selling clothes for the rest of my life. Like that's my goal right now, but you never know what the future holds. For now, like we're gonna keep doing it, keep rocking it. I'm a very anxious person, but I feel like it's funny because I feel like a lot of anxiety, you get a lot of anxiety of doing what we do. But I feel like when I do it, it's kind of like the opposite. Like I feel like at peace, and I like that adrenaline is just what makes me happy. That feeling of you don't know what's going to be around every corner, and you don't know like going out there what will happen, and it's just like that mystery that's kind of just like amazing, and kind of not like really a feeling that you can get from picking anywhere else. The stuff that we do is literally for old stinky clothes. It's just materials and things, but it's more about, I think, like the high you get from doing it, and like it's more just like the enjoyment you get of finding stuff. It's not even like the actual stuff sometimes, but yeah, I do think there's a good amount where it's like we're taking the risk that we shouldn't need to take to get the reward that we're getting, no matter what the reward is, how big or how small. This is not a game. If this shit goes bad, it's not fun, and it's not gonna be fun for anybody. Nothing lasts forever, you know? But there will be a time where I feel like I'm gonna need to stop and maybe just stop selling clothes altogether, but I don't really see that happening anytime soon because I love what I do, and I would like to die doing it, but if that's not the case, then that's okay.